want to welcome everybody to another edition of Reach, where we try to reach out to the communities across the state of Florida and beyond. We do have people that come on from other states, so we're really excited about that. We really feel like these Reach programs are making an impact on our communities. And today we're bringing to you guys a psychologist. We felt like it was really important given all the dynamics that are going on today. It seems like every other day I see something on the news, and there's another incident, there's another issue, some other challenge that we're all facing, but particularly the autism community. Some of the things that impact the world as a whole have a tendency to impact those with autism, the families that love people with autism, to an even greater degree. So we wanted you guys to have some of the skills that you need in order to deal with some of those stressors that come in. And we know that considering this lockdown that we're still inside, we're not really sure how much longer it's going to last. Of course, some of the state of Florida is under more of a lockdown than other areas of the state. So we recognize that while some may not see as much of a challenge, there are some that live in the more metropolitan areas, particularly down in the Southeast Florida area, that really it's slowly making our way out of it, but still a challenge. And then we have masks, and a lot of kids and adults with autism, that is going to be a huge hurdle to get over, wearing that mask. And so we know that our caregivers can so easily become burned out. Parents, family members, confined in a situation, even if you don't live with somebody who has autism, is a challenge. But compound that by somebody who is used to a routine, used to going to school each day, and getting some of their needs met there, and then being with the parents and the family in the afternoons and evenings, and the whole schedule is disrupted. If they were somebody who went to work every day, that's not happening right now. And so we just really want to give attention to the families that are struggling with some of this, the caregivers that are out there. The one thing is that we really have found in all of this that is very sad, and the Autism Society of Florida is trying our best to help you guys come up with some of the things that you need in order to overcome some of these challenges, is dealing with caregiver burnout. Because we recognize that it is real. We don't want you guys to feel like you're alone. We're all in this together. Guaranteed that no matter what challenges you're facing, there are other people that are facing maybe similar challenges. No two of us have the same story. No two of us can say that, oh, I know what you're going through, because each of our challenges are different. Each of our lives are unique. But yet we could still be there to support each other and to help each other kind of deal with some of the challenges that we face. Please help me welcome Dr. Christine Collado-Acebal. She is a school psychologist with the 6th largest school district in the country.
So as we know, as Stacy mentioned, right now we are in basically unprecedented times. We've never experienced something like this before, where we've had a pandemic, where we are stuck at home and we are worried about health and finances and all the other concerns we have, as well as in a time where we have some social unrest and other things going on in the country. As parents and caregivers, it's our natural instinct to take care of everybody else and kind of worry about ourselves later. It was really interesting because I actually ended up thinking of the reference that most people don't think of, like when you're on a plane, the first thing they tell you in the safety precautions is put your mask on first, then take care of everyone else. And that's basically the message we're trying to send, is that you need to take care of yourself, because you are no good to others if you yourself aren't well. So there's many reactions that we can have in a time of crisis. And right now we are in a time of crisis for everyone, regardless of what that crisis looks like. Right now for caregivers, it's a loss of routine for you and your children. You've lost the structures, you've lost the support, you've lost everything that you have that helps you cope on a daily basis. So within that, a lot of times caregivers don't start recognizing those signs of burnout, and those signs of burnout can come in many different ways. You can have cognitive reactions, so you can start having difficulties to make decisions. You may lose your objectivity. You may have difficulties trying to get your mind off of a particular subject. Also, there may be physical reactions. So you may start having headaches. You may start feeling fatigue. You may start having, gastric issues, loss of appetite. There's also emotional reactions too. You may have excessive worrying. All of a sudden, just these mood swings of, feeling angry, and which is out of character for you, or feeling sad, really sad, depressed, which is out of character. Also, there's behavioral and social reactions. Right now, it's really hard because a lot of us use that kind of work break, right, to be able to have that break from our spouse or from our children. And right now, we're all kind of together all the time. So we kind of start having more of those maybe familial marital discord. We start seeing concerns with that. As far also kind of relying more on substances as well. So those are things that we want to take into consideration and kind of keep an eye on. So what can we do for ourselves? We want to make sure we take care of our mind, body, and soul, all of it. We want to make sure we engage in physical self-care. So making sure we're hydrated, making sure that we are limiting those substances, as well as making sure that we're getting enough sleep. Taking care of ourselves emotionally, know what your limits are. When you get pushed to your limits, take a step back, okay? And we're going to talk about some of the strategies emotionally that we can navigate through. Social care and connection. On a daily basis, we are social creatures. We like to reach out to each other. We like to have that support from our peers, from our friends, our family. So right now we're have been put in a position where, we still have access to our faith-based organizations, to our school communities. We just have to understand that it's just in a different format, but we can reach out and look for that support. Also, understanding that there are crisis support resources as well as community and volunteer services, and we'll talk about a little bit more about those the strategies that are available. So what can you do? What strategies can we do? So we want to make sure, again, self-care is a very active and very powerful choice for you to show yourself some self-love and put yourself first. Not so more just for yourself, but also for your family. So here's a little visual of a self-care plan, right? And you're going to notice that mental, physical, and emotional are all being targeted. It's not just one area. We have to look at ourselves as a whole, right? And make sure that all of our needs are being met. And I did provide Stacy with a sample of some of the things that we'll be talking about, some of the self-care plans, so you guys will have access to that, so you can create your own, which is what we want. We want you to be able to identify those supports. So here are some personal mindfulness activities you can do. Some of them seem silly, but sometimes we don't think about these things as actually being kind of empowering and being able to give ourselves that 5 to 10 minutes of break. And really that's all you need is, I know mindfulness sounds like it's very overwhelming, but really we can give ourselves 5 to 10 minutes, and you owe it to yourself to give yourself 5 minutes, okay? So we can do coloring books. I know some people, they were talking about, you can get them at the dollar store. They're really cheap. And oftentimes if you have a time period where you can't be alone, but maybe your child's there and you both enjoy coloring, you can use this together as a strategy. Also doing puzzles and crosswords, reading, journaling and diarying. That's a great way to be able to get your thoughts on paper and get them out of your head. Because a lot of times when we start perseverating on thoughts, it's because they have nowhere to go. So once we write them down, they're kind of out and we move on. Playing a game on your phone. Again, 5 minutes to disconnect. Listening to calming music or practicing meditation. There's a lot of apps that are free. There's apps online, different activities online. So Calm, I know, has some meditation, 5-minute meditation sessions. Breathe also has 10-minute meditation sessions. If you find yourself in a spot where you're feeling very overwhelmed, Spotify has a series that's just, or a playlist that's white noise and pink noise. Okay, pink noise is a little bit softer than the white noise. I also shared before, Mindful Leader has free daily meditation sessions until June 26th. This is a great opportunity for you to be able to just log on for free and do some meditation. Also, 5-minute breathing. 5-minute breathing, actually, the link to this on YouTube is essentially, it's a spiral and it helps you control your breathing. And the spiral, basically, the image comes in and out of the screen and grows and contracts. So it helps you kind of become more mindful of your breathing and teaching you how to slow your breathing down to be when you're in a heightened state. Dancing and exercise. Dancing in your living room or in your kitchen while you're cooking for 5 minutes is a great way to kind of get those thoughts out of your head and kind of give yourself a little bit of a break. Also, sitting outside and listening to your surroundings. Sometimes we don't take the time to kind of be aware of what's going on around us. So being able to sit, even if you go outside 5 minutes, even in your car, sitting for 5 minutes, okay? And we're gonna talk about another strategy a little bit later on that taps into that. Also, tapping. The emotional technique, basically what that is there are videos, again, on YouTube that can coach you and teach you how to do that, but you're basically tapping on meridian points, which are almost like pressure points around the body. And basically what it does is it helps release trapped energy. So it kind of helps, especially if you're feeling anxious in a certain moment, feeling scared. It helps with those feelings as far as kind of helping you cope with those emotions. Now, here's something I like. That was a self-care challenge, and you can do this over a month. You can pick each day, and you can do it in whatever order you wish, but do an activity a day that kind of helps capture whatever that is. So adventure. You may decide to go for a walk in the park, in a new park with your child that you've never been in. That could capture adventure. You know, hobby, something you enjoy doing, something new you want to learn. Always afford yourself the opportunity to have some time to do something you enjoy. Now, like I said, I know there's times where right now we're not able to take that time necessarily for ourselves, but it's great to teach these children, teach the mindful activities with our kids, because our children would benefit from it also, because they also are in a state of crisis. So learning from you, this gives you a great opportunity for you to model some of the exercises, but also it gives them an opportunity to kind of learn with guidance from mom or dad. And this is from the Autism Resource and Community website. It's a great, a blog, basically, is what it was. And if you go into that site, they have scripts for each of these activities that will walk you through how to do the activity specifically with your children. But like a bell listening activity, and we actually did this as an icebreaker for social activity that we had done for a school psychologist. And it really made us aware of where we were. Because what you do is you ring a bell, and it's either a physical bell or an app, and you kind of listen for that vibration, but you're feeling the vibration. So it kind of makes you in tune again with your surroundings and yourself. Bedtime mindfulness. For bedtime, if you or your child are feeling very anxious, what you'll do is you'll start at your toes, and you can almost like start tensing and kind of move up your body and relax until you let everything go. And again, there's scripts for all these activities step by step. Mindful walks. So a lot of times we've been using walks as a means of getting out of our house, right? Because we kind of have cabin fever and we want to get out. Well, start making them mindful. Start talking to your child and pointing out, stop for a minute. What do you hear? Tell me one thing you see. What do you feel? Again, it's putting you in tune with your environment, so that way you're not in your head, you're actually thinking outside, and you're actually in the moment. So mindful breathing and meditation. This is basically teaching us how to breathe. And oftentimes when we become heightened and we become anxious, or our children become anxious, the first thing that we feel is shortness of breath. We start feeling that tenseness and that anxiety. So what we want to do is learn how to control our breathing. And again, we can teach our children how to do this by placing their hand on your stomach and your hand on their stomach, covering their other hand. So that way they can kind of you're modeling for them how to breathe and teach them how to slow down. The soles of the feet is another technique that really targets more so anger and aggression. But really what it's teaching yourself and your children to do is to channel all that anger and all that frustration down your body to a neutral body part, right? Down to your feet. What it's doing is it's grounding it. It's making it go so that you are no longer up in your head. It's moving down your body and out towards your feet. Now, I know that most of us are familiar with glitter jars. Glitter jar, snow globe, wonderful activity. Again, you can use this as a mindfulness activity because you can sit with your child, even for yourself, shake the glitter jar, shake the snow globe, and think, what do I see? Let me name 5 things that I'm seeing in here. Look at the snow, look at the glitter, start describing things and do it out loud. Because when you do it out loud, you are taking, again, you're kind of doing it an extrinsic, from intrinsic to extrinsic. You're taking it inside, putting it outside. So it's no longer in you. So here are some more techniques. The calm down with take 5 breathing is great because what you do is you hold up your hand and you start at one end, okay? And you breathe in and slide up and you trace your hand with your finger and breathe out, okay? Breathe in, breathe out. And you can model this for your child and use the visual to help them as a guide. Also with the breathe out for 3, these are shapes that essentially will help kind of control. Again, it's controlled breathing. Now, these visuals come in whatever shape you want, hearts, stars. It depends on how long you want to teach your child how to breathe, the extent of what they're most comfortable with. Another wonderful technique is the 5 senses. So what you would do is when you're in a heightened state or you're in your mindfulness state, if you're in that point where you say, okay, I'm giving myself 5 minutes to relax, what you can do is hold up your hands again and say, okay, I'm going to look for 5 things I can see. Say them out loud and name them off. 4 things I can feel. Say them out loud, name them off. 3 things that I can hear. Okay? 2 things that I can smell, and 1 thing I can taste. The reason we do this is, again, we're taking the focus away from our thoughts, and now we're putting it on the environment. What am I seeing outside? Okay? So now that we're home, I know the majority of you have been home, obviously, with your children and doing distance learning. This has been a struggle for everybody, the parents, students, teachers, everyone. So here's just some strategies to help support your children's mental health while you're distance learning, as well as I know that quite few of our students, or the majority of our students, do participate in extended school year. So this will go throughout the summer and this will kind of help you. So some of these I'm sure you're already doing, but finding a location, a desk in a bedroom, quiet location, be consistent with that location. Because again, we're trying to help create that routine and create that consistency for them that they've kind of lost in the process. Also establishing a daily work schedule as a visual schedule with built-in mindfulness activities. And I provided for you on the side kind of a little visual to help you. So you'll see where there's, playtime in there, watering the plants, listening to music, playing outside, craft time. All these things are wonderful opportunities to keep your child in the learning process and keep them in that routine throughout the summer, being that, again, we don't know if we're coming back to distance learning or face-to-face learning, but it kind of keeps them in that routine. Also providing incentives using if-then statements and also reminding them the fun activity that they're working for. Let them pick it because they're going to be more invested in doing the actual work if it's something that they get to earn that they like, that's fun. Again, that can be anything from a favorite television show, could even be a mindfulness activity that they like, that they want to participate in. Also be flexible. If your child's having a difficult day, ask, especially if it's ESY, then ask if the teacher can record the lesson. Ask if you can meet with them a little bit later. There's no reason to further frustrate you or your child, okay? And also preparing your child for upcoming changes. Again, the summer activities using a calendar. We already know we had the last day of school, but also there's the first day of school of extended school year. So we need to start prepping for that using that when language, when school starts again, when we go back to school. And also I know it's very difficult for parents right now because a lot of parents have had negative activities with distance learning, but we have to try to stay positive. And because even though it's difficult for you, your children are listening, and also they kind of feed from that anxiety or from that anger or frustration you're feeling. So you are more than welcome to share that opinion in private, but in front of your children, you have to try to stay positive and try to help them feel like this is something that's it's part of their day. You know, it's part of their world right now. So, like I said, we want to be positive about distance learning. Also, when your child asks for help or for guidance, you know, you don't want to give them the answer necessarily. You want to help them learn the material, okay? And also stay informed. You want to make sure that you are staying in contact with the school and with the child's teacher as much as possible so that you can prioritize the workload so it's practical work. We don't want to frustrate you or your child with busy work. We want things that are actually going to help either maintain their skills or help advance their skills. So here are some other things that we can look at as far as support. So relying on others. Again, like I said, we're social creatures by nature. So oftentimes what we do is we feel the weight of the world on our shoulders and we don't reach out to others to say, hey, can you help me? So there are opportunities through different agencies, community agencies for respite care. Okay, so CARD offers respite care, JAFCO. Also, I believe the YMCA offers respite care, but you'd have to see locally in your community what's available. Also, relying on a family member or a friend. Even if it's somebody that comes over to your house and takes your child for 10 minutes just to give you a break so that you can go into your bedroom, go outside and be mindful for 10 minutes, okay? It's somebody, a trusted parent, another parent where you offer to give each other a break and say, hey, you know, can you take Billy for an hour and I'll take Susie for an hour for you, just so you can give yourselves each other a break and be supportive of each other. Also, something that's very important is we do oftentimes feel like what we're feeling, especially if it's a negative emotion, will be judged by others. So speaking to a professional is a wonderful opportunity for you to reach out and to express that to somebody who doesn't know you. They don't have a connection to you, your friends, your family. They're not going to say anything. There's confidentiality. So there is teletherapy available, whether it's through a psychologist or licensed mental health therapist. There is a text crisis line that I listed for you, which is 741-741. This is a 24-hour hotline. It's wonderful. If you are feeling in the middle of the night, you feel a state of emotional crisis, you can text them and they will put you in, immediately a licensed mental health therapist will answer you back and talk you through whatever you're feeling. Also 211. 211 also offers 24-hour crisis and emergency services, and also the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. This is something that is very pertinent right now because not only for our caregivers, but also for our children, especially for our adults with autism. Sometimes we don't feel supported, we don't know who to connect to, so it's very important to be able to have that information available for our kids as well as for our parents. Also through work insurance, you do have the employee assistance program typically that they can offer you counseling services as well. And that is confidential. That typically is confidential as well. Also, okay, more so for the ladies, I think, than the men on here, but we've lost our manicurists in our salons. We have lost our estheticians. So treat yourself to a little manicure spa time at home. You would be shocked at how rejuvenated that makes you feel. You've given yourself a little bit of time for self-care and self-love. Also going on and having a Zoom girls night, guys night out, that really helps to kind of ease your mind, because that can be that opportunity for you to feel that community with others and that support from your friends. So this is something I thought that was great. This actually is wonderful for, and this is in general, it says for anxiety, but this is in general for a time of crisis, okay? And this is for our parents. This may be an unforeseen phone call you get, an emergency, something that happens where you don't know what to do with yourself because you're feeling so many emotions. So basically what you need to do is almost have an emergency kit. This is like emotional first aid, okay? So what you want to do is you want to have in a box all these items. A journal. Again, it can be a journal where you write down your thoughts, or you can have positive affirmations in there that help kind of carry you through and kind of help you restructure what it is you're thinking. Chocolate. Chocolate's wonderful. We're never going to negate chocolate as a wonderful thing. But dark chocolate has actually been proven to lower cortisol levels, which actually helps to improve mood. Tea is always a wonderful thing. Tea in itself can be very relaxing. And just the ritual of making tea and going through that process actually can be very calming in itself. Also, a weighted blanket. It's funny because we often think of, oh, it's wonderful for our children with autism because it's sensory. It's great for everybody. It really does lower your anxiety levels, and it really does help with insomnia also if you are experiencing any kind of sleep disruption due to a crisis. Noise canceling headphones are wonderful. Again, they can kind of put you in that moment and basically guard you from everything else that's going on outside. Mindfulness cards also, again, having those positive affirmations available, being able to change the way you're thinking and kind of monitor your feelings is a wonderful thing. Again, we talked about coloring books. It's a great way to just kind of disconnect, okay? A worry jar. A worry jar is awesome, actually, and I used to have one of these where you can cut up little slips of paper and put little blank slips of paper. I had them all paper clipped together, and whenever I had a thought that was something I was anxious about, I would write it down on the little slip of paper, put it in the jar, it's gone. That's it. Out of your head, on the paper, it's gone. Okay, so it kind of helps, again, get those thoughts out of your head and put them on paper. Essential oils, we've heard a lot about lavender and different essential oils that help with calming effects on you. Stress balls also are another physical way of releasing any kind of anger, frustration that we're feeling. Now, bath bombs, a warm bath always helps everyone, but having those essential oils in there again are kind of help with the calming strategies. Now with crystals, the crystals part of it that I'm more familiar with are worry beads. So worry beads are, again, another tactile way, just the sensation and the act of rubbing worry beads is very distracting. So it helps kind of, again, refocus your energy and kind of get you back to mindful. What are you doing right now instead of being in your head? So what's actually happening in your hands? So Heather Plett is actually a speaker that I heard during a grief summit who was very wonderful. She has herself suffered a lot of crises in her life. And she talked about holding space. And she said, as caregivers, and it was specifically targeted toward caregivers, that caregivers tend to hold space for everybody else, but we never hold space for ourselves. So we are so good at giving to everyone else, but we never afford ourselves that luxury, again, to be taken care of. So these are some of the strategies she talked about. Learning when to walk away. Sometimes you just have to pick your battles. And oftentimes there are situations where we keep pushing and pushing and trying to help, and somebody may not be receptive to our help. So we have to learn how to take a step back. And again, she gives some great strategies, taking in deep breaths, walking in nature. Again, replenishing yourself, but not carrying that bitterness of whatever it is that was happening. Having a good cry. A good cry is a wonderful way. It's almost like a waterfall where it kind of washes all that emotion out and you feel renewed and you have a new vision on what's going to happen next. Okay, so you can kind of give yourself that opportunity to have that release. Also, again, like I said, we are social creatures, so letting other people hold that space for you. Let someone else take care of you. It's a very weird position to be in when you are always the one taking care of everybody else to make yourself vulnerable to other people. But we need to, because if not, you can't always be the rock, okay? Sometimes we have to let others take care of us. Again, as we discussed before, practicing mindfulness. So paying attention to your attention, being in the moment. So also finding sources of inspiration. So as we talked about listening to music, reading good books, find sources of inspiration that really bring you joy and really motivate you and inspire you. This is a big one, I think, within the autism community as well, letting other people live their own stories. Sometimes we feel the need to worry excessively about others and try to help others and try to change the way people think. You have to be in charge of yourself and your own behaviors. You don't have to carry other people's frustration. You don't have to carry other people's anger, okay? Again, it's their story. You have your story, they have their story. And like Stacy said, nobody's story is alike, okay? Everyone has different nuances to different experiences they've had. One parent may have a wonderful experience with the school system and one may have a very negative. You don't have to carry that for each other, okay? You both live your own experiences. And also finding a creative outlet for processing what you're experiencing. So like I said, writing in a journal, painting, baking, dancing, whatever it is that you enjoy. So this is Stacy's favorite visual. This is a wonderful visual of how the mind, the body, and soul are all interconnected. And here are different activities that you can do visually. This gives you kind of that guide as to what you can do for yourself on a daily basis in case you need reminders of how to take care of yourself. So in closing, I really enjoy this quote because it's so true. An empty lantern provides no light. So self-care is a fuel that allows your light to shine brightly. And one of the things that we don't often consider is when you are a caregiver, when you are a parent, especially for a child with special needs, you are that lantern. You are that bright light that guides them daily, whether it's in personally, whether socially, whether in the community, you are always that beacon that they come back to for love and for guidance.
We want to thank Dr. Collado-Acebal for coming on and talking to our community, talking to our families, to individuals with autism. And most of all, we want the community to know that the Autism Society of Florida is trying very hard to bring us together, to help us support one another, to provide supports, to provide connections to those supports within our natural community. So no matter who you are, no matter what your challenges that you're facing might be today or tomorrow, don't do it alone. Don't feel like you need to do it alone. We're all in this together, regardless of what our own individual experiences are. We want each other to feel supported. We want you to feel as though you're part of a community and that you're not alone, and that there are others out there walking along the same path, maybe a little bit different than your own, but we're still on the path together. And we're here to support one another and get us through some of these really trying times that we're all facing right now, not only as an autism community, but as a world. So please look to our website, www.autismfl.org. And on that site, you'll find this presentation as well as many other supports that are hopefully going to be beneficial to you during this very needy time. Okay, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and stay connected.